Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/TrueOffMyChest. My girlfriend beat the crap out of someone who broke into her house. The other night I was sleeping over at my GF's. She lives one street over from the middle of nowhere, no streetlights, no sidewalks, and keeps her house dark at night except for the room she's in to attract bats and detract bugs. I think it was like 2 a.m. when I woke up to my girlfriend telling me to call 911. Long story short, a guy had broken a window into the garage and was going through my car. He had a knife, but my girlfriend has a shotgun, unloaded, and wanted to scare him off with it. Cops really gave us a verbal shakedown for that, by the way. We're idiots and don't ever confront a burglar. But this guy was clearly unhinged and charged us. I don't really remember how it happened, but my girlfriend somehow tripped him, or maybe he tripped on his own, and then started basically tamping this guy's rib cage down into his lungs with the stock. I had to physically stop her. A little bit about my GF: she cries when she sees sick or hurt animals. She's constantly doing or offering to do nice things for people. She won't even squish bugs, she catches them and releases them if she finds any. She's a Buddhist. Nonviolence is important to her. Before this I described her as the gentlest person I knew. So what the F? After I stopped her she was so calm. She sat cross-legged on the floor and then made a call to a lawyer before the cops even got there. No charges for girlfriend, yet. Lawyer has been helpful, cops less so. They wanted to arrest me when they got there for some reason. And my girlfriend had to actually ask for an ambulance for the guy because they tried to just load him into the police car and he was screaming and moaning. He lived but is still in the hospital. It's been 2 days since this happened and I still feel like my heart is racing. Every time I see my girlfriend I see her covered in blood with a shotgun. It hasn't changed how I feel about her, but goddamn, it's changed how I see her. Edit, clarifying a few things. I didn't think this would get any attention. First, girlfriend is doing good, all things considered. Someone was worried that the blood was hers. The guy came in pre-wounded because there were bloody handprints on my car. He was definitely on something. My girlfriend is currently taking a bunch of drugs since she was exposed to his blood too. Girlfriend hasn't talked much about what happened and I'm not going to push her right now. I am worried about her, I am taking care of her. I've been staying with her since this happened. And feeding her. Someone said to bake a cake. I am a professional chef. Also, apparently, an idiot. After this I'm going to the store. A lot of people seem to think my view of her has changed for the worse. That is deeply untrue. Rereading my post I realize I made it sound that way, so that's my fault. It's still pretty fresh in my mind and I'm processing things on the go. I was just having difficulty reconciling this new view of her with who I thought she was before, but I realize now that she hasn't changed. I just learned more about her. And what I learned is that she's a certified tough girl, to quote many of you in the comments. Also, a lot of people are calling me out for not helping more. Don't get me wrong, I feel guilty that I didn't do much other than call 911 in the moment. I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses for myself because I was still absolutely scared crapless, but my girlfriend didn't really give me a chance to help. This all happened very quickly. By the time she woke me up she was armed and out of bed. I'm deaf in one ear and a heavy sleeper anyway, so I'm glad she woke me up at all. I'm not sure why the shotgun wasn't loaded. She only told me afterwards. I was expecting her to shoot him, not beat him half to death. The cops, I won't get into it, but my girlfriend has had issues with the local cops before. She lives in a town that barely qualifies for its own police department, and the one they do have has nothing to do 99% of the time. They seemed like they were in a rush to get finished with us the whole time they were there. I think they were probably pissed off they got called out on 4th of July for something that actually requires paperwork. Thank you everyone in the comments. I've read every single one of them so far. There's a lot of good advice there and a good amount of deserved criticism that I am open to. How else do you improve? Next story. I'm leaving my boyfriend after he drunkenly confessed something to me last night. My boyfriend and I, both 29, have been together for 2 years now. Before that, we were both married and got cheated on by our spouses. We were introduced to each other through mutual friends and thought we would get along since we went through the same thing. I have told everyone us meeting that night was the greatest blessing because he came into my life at a very dark point in my life. In the past 2 years, we moved to a new town, started new jobs, and bought a house. I travel for work and he works 90 hours a week, so we both have no desire to have kids. I have a brother, 31M, who has been with a woman since 2020. They were supposed to get married, but called it off in 2022. Since then, they have been on, off together and really don't have a great relationship. That was until November when his girlfriend found out she was pregnant and they decided to get serious. They bought a house and have been going to couples therapy. Their relationship seems to be working out now since they had their baby. They decided to host a 4th of July party at their house. I attended with my boyfriend. I spent most of the night helping with cooking and helping my brother's girlfriend set up and watching my niece. Like every 4th of July party, there's people getting way too drunk and starting to act up. Once mostly everyone had left, my boyfriend and me, brother and his girlfriend, and a couple friends were sitting by the fire and having a few drinks. My boyfriend had a few too many drinks and was starting to act drunk. He started telling random stories, and after a few random stories, he says, "Brother's GF's name, remember when he used to hook up last year?" My brother's girlfriend looks at him in shock, then starts apologizing to me. I just sat there in silence before leaving. Immediately after, I got texts from his girlfriend, my boyfriend, and brother all trying to fix things and saying he didn't mean to tell me. His girlfriend texts me the story and says that they hooked up for a couple months while I was working in another state and she was broken up with my brother. I haven't replied to anyone's texts, just spent the morning packing all my stuff from the house and leaving with my car and the truck I bought for him. I already feel so much happier knowing what he did to me, and now that he's gone, I'm divorcing my husband because of his farts. I truly wish this were a joke. Part of this whole situation is on me for not dating him for a long time before we got married, and a big chunk of that dating was spent having completely lost my sense of smell from COVID. That fact alone is absolutely unbelievable, but it's true. Side note, I got my smell back. The other wild part is that when we were dating, he hung over at my place mainly, and I didn't carry a lot of unhealthy snacks for him to snack on at night. This fact is very relevant for the story. Once we got married, things went downhill very quickly. He started inhaling as many snacks and as much dairy as possible at night. Sometimes he would go out and get a deep dish, fried cheese, loaded pizza and devour it at 11 p.m. after eating an entire bag of greasy chips and like 27 pieces of taffy. And a glass of milk. Or 3. At first I thought it was just a bad fart here and there. But as the nights progressed, I realized that the bad farts were becoming a nightly nightmare. I know what normal stinky farts are. Even bad sulfuric farts. But these are not simply either of those. These farts are incompatible with life itself. The first time one really hit me in the face, I projectile vomited. I could taste them. They were our almost tangible objects in the air. I'm convinced they are soaked into the carpet and walls. Rotten egg is not even enough to describe what the smell is. It's almost as if something literally died inside of his stomach and was leaking into the air trying to kill anyone that smells it. His farts are not human. They are not silly little rotten egg farts. There is something wrong with him. Truly. These farts are almost alive with a mind of their own, and they are terrifying. If there was a horror movie made about farts, it would be about his. They are unsettling at best. They make your mind feel like something bad happened, perhaps a murder. Your spirit does not feel settled because these are not normal farts in any way at all. These are violently horrifying. It got to the point where I had to stop sleeping in our bedroom the second month of marriage. Not only that, but I had to blast the AC, stuff towels under our door, stuff towels under my daughter's door, turn the fan on in both rooms, and sleep in her room with her. He snuck into her room and farted when I was almost asleep so that I would start dry heaving. I had to start sleeping with the door locked with her. I started routine prescription nausea medicine to keep my food down at night, just in case, because it was becoming kind of health hazard because of how sick it was making me. When I asked him if he thought the amount of food he was inhaling every night was causing his farts, he said yes. I asked if maybe he could slow down or substitute for healthier snacks, such as sea salt popcorn, or a bit lighter and less full of thick cheese snacks, and he said no. His reasoning? He said he likes the way the farts feel exiting his butt as they vibrate his prostate and butthole. Like I'm not even kidding, he freaking said that. I'm so horrified that I even typed that. My life became a living nightmare as I could no longer sleep in my room and also remain alive. My desk was in my room, so I also had to stop working in the daytime from my bedroom. He works from home in the bedroom too. I had to change the entire situation just to cater to the pleasure of his farts. I tried desperately to get him to go to a doctor. I found referrals to gastroenterologists. I bought him probiotics, enzymes, milk substitutes. I cooked healthy meals. He would literally tell me he didn't want the healthy meal and drive himself to Taco Bell instead. He refused to go to the doctor. He took the probiotics sometimes but usually just pretended to and slipped them by his nightstand so I wouldn't see that he didn't take them. Knowing I was going to have to remain on prescription nausea meds, possibly for life, just to cohabitate with this man was so mind-blowing. Our budget was going crazy to keep up with the demands of the amount of food needed to keep his farting for pleasure needs met. At one point, he literally inhaled so much food so fast and so non-stop that he gained 12 pounds in 48 hours and he looked at the scale and screamed. I tried to get him into therapy and a psychiatrist, but no. I am a very body-positive person that does not fat shame and genuinely believes that you should eat what makes you feel healthy and good and not worry about hitting some numbers on a scale. The situation, however, feels like a very disastrous issue that is very weird and not very common, something that people probably can't relate to because it's just completely absurd in every way. He said he will always choose that vibrational fart feeling and the fart smell and the grease snacks and the cheese above me. He said that is a hill he is forever willing to die on. Anyway, that is the story of why I am divorcing my husband over farts. On the surface level, I know it sounds like it's just about farts and then I'm just a really shallow wife, but I think it's actually so much deeper. It's just hard to explain how. Edit, lots of people are saying I'm lying and I really wish I was. Like truly. But he's actually already gone viral for trying to fart in a tent with me and my daughter trapped in it. Except it wasn't my daughter, it was my mom. Here's the video proof of his fart situation cause it's real and this is my actual life. Someone has been coming in our house, and making it obvious that they've been there. We, 30s MNF plus kids plus dogs, live in the country, US, right along a state highway. We have about 6 neighbors, the closest being about 100 yards, 91 meters, away. This has happened 4 times that we know of. Last winter, my 30s M, was home alone. He was in the back of the house sleeping, when he woke up freezing cold. He went to investigate and found our kitchen door wide open. This happened twice in one night and again on a different night. He was home alone each time. Most recently, I and the kids had left the house for the playground around noon. We stayed about an hour. When we got back, he and I were chatting as we walked into the house. We turned the corner into our living room and both immediately froze. Our living room entrance was wide open. A few important things to note. Our living room entrance is technically the main entrance, but we never use it. It stays deadbolt and the knob stays locked. It takes a bit of effort to get the deadbolt turned and door open, because the door frame tends to swell. Our kids wouldn't have been able to open it, probably, at all, especially without us noticing. We did F up by leaving the kitchen entrance unlocked, and I know it's foolish. It's an argument I've had with years on end, that I believe he will now start taking seriously. I believe that this person entered and exited through the unlocked kitchen. I think the only reason they popped that unused door open, was to let us know they were there. Nothing is ever taken. There are valuables everywhere. Nothing is ever disturbed. The dogs. The dogs are not a fan of strangers rolling up on our property. They're not violent, but they make it known that this is our house and that they may or may not be welcome. A couple of years ago, our dogs started to wander off the property when they were let out. It would take them 5 to 10 minutes to come back when called. This was very out of character, and has only recently started to get better. We wonder if there isn't someone close feeding them, treating them, becoming familiar with them, disarming them. They're always in the house when we leave. This particular instance, when we returned home, they were acting funny. They were doing that shameful, I got into the trash or I snuck food off the counter, bow/walk. Like they knew something wrong happened here. A few other, milder occurrences that kind of make sense now. We have come home a couple of times and the dogs have been outside. These times we kind of just questioned whether or not we had truly let them in, and moved on. The other day I came home from work, and used the key to get in. My oldest daughter said, "Mom, I swear, right before you pulled up, someone knocked on the door, but when I looked out, I didn't see anyone." We have a long gravel driveway, it would be extremely odd for someone to knock and there not be a vehicle in the driveway. Anyway, I say all of this solely to get it off my chest. We've gotten extra keys made, so my hard-headed so can start locking the door. We already had indoor cameras, that we will start arming every single time we leave. I ordered 3 outdoor cameras, window jams, door knob jams, and swing locks, hotel room style, and frosted window film. We feel violated, confused, and scared. Small update, I've ordered 2 smart deadbolts, a gadget detector, and have a couple more cameras that weren't in use that I'm gonna mount in some windows. I can't sleep. Update 2, nothing new, I just want to thank each and every one of you that have shown concern, offered any insight or made any suggestions. I'm reading every single comment. My mind is a mess right now. I'm terrified. I've spent probably $1,000 plus on security measures. I left the house while So is working, and me and the kids are in a safe place right now. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel our posts.